Good afternoon, all you lovely people. It is Wednesday, February 24th at 3 o'clock p.m., and that means it's time for Women in Business. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm so excited about the conversation we're going to have today. I'm going to be talking with Heather Streible, and we are going to be talking about a number of things. And before we start the conversation, I just want to tell you a little bit about Heather so you can know why I think it's going to be a fun conversation. Hi, Tanya. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Heather is the co-owner of Replica Screenprinting and Graphic Design. She's been married to her husband, Scott, for 23 years. They have 3 dogs and no children. She's been in the screen printing industry for 24 years, in the printing industry, for 24 years. The first 12 years in the litho flexo printing business. I have no idea what that is, so I may have to ask her that. And in the past 12 years in the screen printing business. She co-owns Replica Screenprinting with her mother, Melissa, which they have owned for the past 6 years. Her hobbies consist of lifting weights and hunting. Her happy place is the beach, and if she can't be there, she's usually at the gym or the shop. When they took over Replica Screenprinting 6 years ago, her goal was to be one of the top screen printers in her area and one of the top screen printing women in the industry. Her business consists of lots of family. She works with her mother full-time. Her brother-in-law is their main screen printer, and her father has worked with them full-time in the past, but is now retired and helps them out from time to time. Over the past 4 years, her life has really changed. She dropped 60 to 100 pounds, depending on what month it is. And she has really learned to put herself first. Her confidence grew, and she became the woman that she is today. She's most recognizable by her colorful hair. If you have ever seen pictures or video of Heather, she has colorful hair all the time. I love it. Her mom apparently does not love it, but it makes her very recognizable in the area, in the industry, and in the events that she goes to. So she's kind of hard to miss. And she's always trying to better herself, whether it's in the industry, in screen printing, her skills in the trade, or in the gym. Her goal is to empower our youth, and she does great work with her niece, Lauren, and we will definitely talk about that and other women in life. And she says that she's seen people break each other down too much, and she wants to change this outlook on life. So lots of good stuff there. I'm going to bring Heather in. Hi, Heather. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So excited you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
Oh, so much to talk about. I can't wait to get started on this. The first thing I do want to talk about, just because, oh gosh, it's been a while back now, but I had Valerie Rowland on the show, and she talked about she started a business with a member of her family, didn't work out well. And so I wanted to talk to someone who seems to be working with family and having it go well. So my first question to you would be, when you guys decided to do this, did you sit down and have a big conversation? Did you write out a contract? How did this come about, I guess, that you...
Yeah. No, it was all spur of the moment. The lady that I worked for at the time, she had a sign shop, and her kids had graduated, and she just didn't want to do shirts anymore. So she was actually going to shut the shop down. And I called my mom, and I'm like, here we go again. I'm going to have to look for another job. And she's like, well, let's just buy it. I'm like, okay. So that was literally the conversation we had. So it was very spur of the moment. But it's worked out well.
Well, you got to love your mom for just going, you know what, let's just take this leap, man.
Yeah, it's kind of funny now, because when we bought it, she had a full-time job, and she's like, oh, I'll just be able to, do the books, because she's the book lady. She keeps track of all of that. And she's like, I'll do that on the weekends. And within a year, she had to quit her full-time job to come to the shop full-time. And now she's like, when do I get to retire? And I'm like, you might need to one day.
So she had no experience in the decorating end of it.
Oh gosh, no. Okay. No, she was worked in metal fabrication. So yeah, she didn't know what she was getting into.
Well, you gotta love her confidence in you, that she was like, you know what you're doing. I'll go into this with you. I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's really awesome. So let's see, where was it? Now I lost it. Your brother-in-law works there, your mother works there, your father worked there. Your husband does not work with you, or he does?
Oh, no. No, I love my husband, but no, he helps. He does help out at the shop sometimes.
Okay.
Actually, when we bought the shop, within probably about 6 weeks after we purchased it, my screen printer quit. And yeah, and so I'm like, okay, well, I've got this. And I didn't have it. So luckily my dad, he was a maintenance guy, and they did a huge downsizing at the hospital that they were in. And so he was one of them that was laid off. And so he came to work for me. So me and him worked full time with each other for probably for at least a good 4 years.
Wow.
And then mom came in on full time, and then my brother-in-law lost his job, and so we hired him, and we're just one big happy family most of the time.
Well, I just think I think that's wonderful. But so did you have to teach everybody how to do screen printing or whatever it is?
Yeah. I tell everybody when you come to work, it's trial by fire, because we just throw you in. Because that's how I learned. I mean, my background was lithoflexo printing. So we did, my background was paper printing. We did labels. And
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. And so, I came in to kind of run the graphic side, and I just, it was like one day it's like, here, okay, we don't have a screen printer, so I'm going to learn how to screen print. And then, so that's how everybody's learned. It's just kind of like, and I'd rather it be that way. I'd rather teach somebody the way I want to train them than know what they're doing, for sure. Yeah.
So, well, I just think that's, I love the story that you just called your mom and she's like, oh, let's just buy it.
Yeah. We have a lot of spur of the moments.
Well, it's just there's a level of trust there, and there's a level of, I'm willing to go on this adventure with you, and I know you can do it. And I just, a lot of people don't get that sort of support from their parents. So I think that's amazing. And then that you all work together is lovely. But yeah.
I tell everybody that, we don't always see eye to eye, but you don't see that no matter where you go. But I said, nobody cares as much about the business as family does. So, sure. I know that if it comes down to the wire, that we all have each other's back at the end of the day.
So one of the things that you did that I think is really kind of very smart is you took, when you went on your weight loss journey and you started working to get stronger and do all that, you kind of created a look for yourself and you made that part of your brand.
Yes, very. It's ever changing, but yeah. And now that's how people recognize me. So I just keep doing it.
Because you mostly work locally in your area, and you're in Kentucky, correct?
We are in Kentucky, a very small town. So that's kind of when I first took over Replica, and we purchased it, it was kind of like, okay, everything in my life changed within a couple of months. And I started trying to lose weight, and as my confidence grew, my look evolved. And so now that's totally, people can. We do a lot of local stuff, but we also do a lot of some of our bigger customers are strongman strongman competitions and stuff. And so I went to the Arnold, and there's hundreds of thousands of people there. And then I had people pecking me on the shoulder. Oh, I know who you are. You're Heather. You own that screen printing shop. So I'm very easy to pick out of a crowd, and my husband never loses me this way, Your
husband can always. Well, I like that too. That we've talked a lot on Two Regular Guys last Friday. Terry and Aaron did a thing about find your niche and work with that niche, and that's also something I've seen you do. I have your Facebook up here right now, and that's one of the things you post about quite frequently is doing shirts for people who work in strongman or people you know from your workouts or whatever it is. So you've taken something you love and kind of made it part of the business.
Yeah, and I have a full spectrum, because to me it's like your niche. A lot of times for me, I have found it's what I'm into, because that's what I know about. That's what I can talk about and relate to people. So I go from one extreme to the other. So a lot of our niche markets is strength, but then we have a whole hunting side that we do. I do a ton of shirts for duck call makers and turkey call makers and stuff, because that's something that I love to do. So it's easy to conversate and really, understand what your customer's wanting.
Well, and also too, I think if it's something that especially for things like hunting, where it can be, I mean, personally, I support hunting. I grew up with hunters. I don't hunt myself, but I know a lot of people who do. It doesn't bother me, but I know for some people it's much more. So if you let it be known that that's something that you're interested in and you care about, then hunters feel more comfortable coming to you, I think, than they would, than they would going to somebody that they don't know that there's a background there. Plus, I think you just understand that world better. So
yeah,
totally makes sense. So, I mean, I just love the fact that you've taken things that you really enjoy doing and incorporated them into the business, because I think that's a lot of business people, and especially business women, think that they have to do everything, and I think I don't know, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, but I think you're better maybe picking a couple of areas and concentrating on those and getting really well known. I mean, I'm sure you do a variety of things, but.
Yes. And that's, sometimes it's a fault, because my hunting things are so over the top. And so it puts more pressure on my printers and expectations. And, but I have tried to, like you said, it's trying to find your niche and do that well. And that way you at least have a name in the industry for that. And then, kind of grow on it there.
Right. And you guys do all your social media yourself too. You don't have somebody that does that for you, or?
No, we've tried it. That's what I've been trying to work really hard on this year, is media, because it's easy for me to post my lifting videos because I'm actually doing them, but to take pictures of the shirts we're doing, it's harder for me, because there's days that I do have to run the press, but most of the time it's my team that's doing that. And I've been really trying to do marketing and make sure to make some headway there.
Well, I wanted to pop the page up again, because one of the things that I noticed about your page is that you do a really nice job of not really customer testimonials, but sharing customers liking what you did. Like there was one gentleman who it looked like maybe his kid's artwork or something was on his shirt. But he was so proud of it. And he said the kid was and I was like, that's the kind of stuff that you need. It's a one of a kind thing.
Yeah.
That's going to be a keepsake. So I love stuff like that. So
yes. We try to promote our customers and what they're, we try to promote their business. And then, like you said, some of their, we love getting feedback from our customers, whether it's photos and, being used, and trying to post those.
Well, you do a nice job. I mean, and I'm pretty picky about social media, since it's kind of my business, sort of. So. Yeah. But I do have another question about being a family-owned business, because this is something that I asked Valerie when she was talking about her business, and that was, do you guys have a plan for, I don't know, succession, or if you suddenly decide that you don't want to work together anymore, or have you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, with like I said, with my father, he had worked for us, but he started to retire. He kind of over the course of last year, he was our delivery guy. He still is to a point. He would come in and turn everything on and coat screens and stuff like that. But so he's kind of slowly worked himself out. And then my mom, we have a little plan. I mean, I would love for her to be able to work less days and bring someone else in to take some of the workload off of her. And that is our plan going forward. If business starts picking back up, because
well, yeah,
COVID has really put a damper. We had all these high expectations going in the next, 2 or 3 years. And so now we're having to kind of backpedal and see, what we can do and what we can't do. And so.
Well, that's a question, since I've talked about this with other people. Speaking of COVID, what have you done are you guys doing masks? Are you doing, I know you did Here for Good. I saw that.
Yes. Yeah, we did the Here Good campaign. It wasn't a huge success for us, but it kept us in people's minds. Now, we did print a ton of masks. And even now people are, well, you did our mask for us a couple of months ago, and now we're needing shirts and, trying to reach out to them to touch base. So that did keep us that kept our business open, because it would, let us we never really we were shut down a couple of weeks, but we were able to keep the doors open because we would do deliveries, or we do a lot of stores and shipping and stuff. So our shipping game is really strong now. We've learned how to kind of run a small business through, deliveries and shipping and stuff like that.
Well, one of the things you did that I thought was really smart was I would see you pop up every once in a while, and you do these little short videos on social media where you would just kind of say, hey, this is what's happening now, or here's the thing that we're doing, and it was kind of just an update on here's the status of stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really smart.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like in today's time, everybody wants everything now. And now with COVID and small businesses, that's in our town, I really wanted to help our other small businesses around, but in turn, I need them to help us. So we've just really tried to become close to some of our locals, or even not even local, just smaller businesses, and try to work with them. And, well, you help me out, and then I'll help you out. And, just trying to be one big family and help each other through this, because without the small businesses, our economy is going to, it's just scary.
Well, it's scary, and I think you're right. Community matters so much more, especially when you can't hug everybody, and you have to. A lot of community right now is stuff like this.
Yeah,
and that's tough. And I like this. It's the dreaded Facebook user, but we have a comment here that says, so much action in your Facebook posts. And judging by the capitalization, I'm guessing that's Carolyn Cagle. But for those of you who don't know the drill, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to show your name. But sometimes they're picky, and even if you've done that before, they will decide that they don't want to show your name. I don't know why that is. They just don't. But okay, so here, not that I didn't want to talk about your business, but here's what I really want to talk to you about. And this is why. I have a lifelong relationship up until fairly recently with exercise being the thing I hated most in the free world. I mean, loathed it. So part of my issue with it was that it was always presented to me as you have to do it to look better. It was never presented as being healthier, being stronger, or being anything. So that's where I want to start with this, is what's your feeling about how exercise is presented to women most of the time, particularly when it comes to strength, I think?
Everybody wants to look good, but when I started and we've discussed this, when I started my weight loss journey, I have always been a bigger girl. Now, in high school, I thought I was big, but later in life, I put on a lot of weight, and it was just life. And I was running a business, and I just took over Replica. But what really hit home was my niece, which at the time she was 11. She was having some health problems, and she went to the doctor, and they said that she had high blood pressure at age 11. Ooh. And so for me, it was, okay, I can't be somebody that says you've got to do this, and then I'm not following it at all. So that's kind of what changed it for me. So my mindset came from, okay, I want to be healthy, but I'm not doing it to look good. I'm doing it to feel good and to show others that it's okay for a bigger woman to get in the gym and lift heavy things. I just want to be able to be strong. And I think, everybody now is like, oh gosh, you could throw me across the room. And that's not really the case. But, I didn't want to be skinny. I just wanted to be strong. I wanted to be that, when I got older in life, my bones wasn't brittle, and I didn't like cardio. I hate cardio. I hardly ever do cardio. And so that's why I really enjoyed weightlifting, because it changes. You can add muscle and you lose weight at the same time. And you kind of feel like a badass, when you're lifting some heavy things.
Well, I have to share a comment here, because we got a proud mama in the house there. Proud of my daughter. I love that. And I also want to share your Facebook page, because there's a lot of stuff about competitions you've done and things you've done. But I love, like, you posted, I don't know, a couple days ago where you were flexing with a friend of yours, and you're like, show off your biceps even when you don't have biceps. And I was like, I love this.
Yes.
But I think there's something to be said for framing the whole exercise thing, because I know what got me into exercise is, well, I had health issues, yes, and I needed to take off some weight. But once I started figuring out that I could do stuff that I didn't know I could do, like those stupid, they call them burpees.
Yeah.
Hate them. But I can do them now. Yeah. I don't, and when I did my first one, I was like, I am queen of the world, man.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to be said for, let's back up here, because we're jumping over part of the story that maybe people don't know. How did you get started in all this? I mean, when you said you've lost between 60 and 100 pounds, depending on what month it is. So did you just walk into a gym one day and go, yep, let's go? Or?
Pretty much. There is a local there's a guy that I went to school with. He was a lot younger than I was, but he was a bodybuilder, and he was from our local town, and he has kind of gotten a name for himself. And he had this weight loss program, and it was a 6-week program, and it was like $50. And so I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. Cause like I said, Lauren, my niece, we've got to do something. So I knew I've had really bad ankles from playing softball for years, and I'd broken both ankles. And like I said, I really couldn't do cardio. So I'm thinking, okay, I had dabbled in weightlifting years ago, but nothing ever took. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this. And so literally it was, I'm that type of person. I'm usually all in. So I just started hitting the gym. And within probably the first 6 weeks, I had dropped about 40 pounds. And yeah, and it was all through weightlifting. So as soon as your body starts changing that quickly, then you're like, then it's kind of, you're hooked. And, and so then that's kind of when I did that part, and we were doing a lot of strongman competition shirts. And so if you don't know what strongman is, if you've ever, I know I used to when I was a kid, watch the shows with my dad, and people are picking up refrigerators and gigantic stones and running with them down a field, and I mean just lifting heavy stuff. And so I was always making shirts for these competitions, but I had never thought about being in one. And so the guy that was over it, he's like, why don't you at least try? And I'm like, okay, so I signed up for my first competition and got with the trainer, and it was just crazy, because then it's an addiction to, okay, well, how much can I lift, and how strong can I be? And so that was when I turned 40, that's kind of when it's like, okay, I'm ready for my first competition. I've never been a real athlete, and so now I'm going to do something crazy. And that's kind of what started it. It's kind of fueled me. And like I said, it depends what month it is. My weight fluctuates. But the day that I did my competition, I had hit the 100-pound mark.
Wow.
I stayed there for 15 minutes. Because by the time I drank a tea and ate some pizza, because I had to do a weight cut. So it was, I don't know, it's been a journey, and it's completely changed who I am. I'm a lot more confident and stronger willed, and
and how much of that is just having to, because weightlifting is not an easy thing. I don't think any form of exercise, if you're dedicated to it, is an easy thing to do. You have to commit to it. So how much of the attitude change is the commitment that you made to what you were going to do, and how much of it is just, hey, I look really cool now?
I think for me, it was, I actually had to put myself first. And when you're training that hard, you have to put yourself first. I mean, because I'm the type of person that is all in for nothing, it's like, I was still trying to run my business, but I had to get this training in. And I was growing up, I was just always the person that was there for everybody. And so it kind of changed to where, people can still depend on me, but, yes, if I know I need to be at the gym, I'm going to put that first, because I'm doing that for me, and it's okay. It was hard to change my brain to think it's okay to put me first, and fill up my cup. That way I can help others, because if I'm not putting myself first and my health is garbage and I can't walk across the parking lot, then I'm not going to be able to help. If at the, some of this time we've had family members that had a stroke, and so, trying to help them, and you can only give and give and give so much of yourself before you have to learn to put yourself first and know that that's okay. And I think that was my biggest change, to say, it's okay. I love my family. I love my husband. I love my mom and my sister and my nieces and nephews, but there's some things you have to do for you, and then go from there.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest lessons that women as a gender need to learn, because we're told so many times that, your family has to come first, or you need to take care of your kids, or you need to do this, or, or take care of your parents, or whatever. And it's like, I think what you said, we should put on a shirt that you have to look after yourself first. You have to fill your own cup before you can take care of other people. And I think we've got Tanya agrees with that. She says amen. So preach, sister, preach. But I think that's such it's an easy thing to miss, because I think we get so caught up in taking care of everybody else that we forget that we need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
So putting the gym first. But I got to ask, how hard was it when you started? Could you lift like anything when you started? Or?
Oh, I did good to lift. Yeah, I did good to lift 10-pound dumbbells or 20-pound dumbbells. And, it's a cycle. I'm not nearly as strong as I am now than I was a year and a half ago, just because of issues with, I actually competed in one of the competitions and tore my ACL. And
I was going to say you were injured.
Yeah. But, it's like now, so that's kind of changed my point of view, is to now it's like, okay, I would have, being a woman, it's like, oh, I would love to be that size that I was, but it was a lot of hard work and dedication. And, I've gotten there, I've done that. Now I just want to be a healthy me. I want to be able to, make time to go to the gym and be strong and get my workouts in, but I also want to eat pizza every once in a while and, join a splurge, because it's, at the time, it's like, it's your dedication and how much of it you want to be. I think in the competition, I deadlifted, I think I got up 385 on a deadlift.
Good.
And I attempted 415 and got it up, but I couldn't lock it out. But, that's what I trained for. And it was an amazing process. It was probably one of the best days of my entire life, for adrenaline and just proving that, you could do something that you never thought you could do. It's overcoming all of your obstacles and your mindsets and what women can and can't do. Because I hate to hear women go into the gym and it's like, well, they're on the machines because they don't want to get in the guy's way. And, they're, well, I'm afraid somebody's going to look at me different. And a lot of times, it's not people are looking at you. They're wanting to help you. They're wanting to make sure you're okay. But, a lot of times it's the guys, I never had that issue. It's like, at first when I first started working out, the whole fire department would show up in the mornings. And I was so intimidated because I didn't want to ask for help. And then something finally clicked and I'm like, they're there to help, they don't care, and it's a lot of times you just have to get over that insecurity and just kind of put yourself out there. And
I love that.
And in general. Yeah.
Well, and I think there's something to be, I have to say, I have a total issue exercising in front of anybody. I will never go to a gym in my life because I'm not comfortable with that. But the whole idea that, the women are supposed to stay out of the guy's way, or the whole thing of, well, I only want to use light weights because I don't want to bulk up. And I'm like, seriously? Muscles they mean you're strong. They mean you can do things. Why is that? I don't understand that attitude.
Yeah. You would, and that's a lot of misconceptions. And I tell a lot of women, you're not going to gain tons of muscle. You would have to work out 4 or 5 hours a day and, to get that. Yeah, you can get muscle definition, but,
Sure.
when people say bulk up, that's not going to happen without a lot of training. And that's, I'm in the gym about an hour and a half at the most. But it makes you feel good. It's, my gym time is my stress relief. If I'm having a really bad day at the shop, I can go and work out all my frustrations. That way I'm not trying to bring it home and bring it back to work.
Totally.
It doesn't always work, but, and then it makes, lifting weights and stuff helps, when you have to move boxes around and things around. And, but I don't know. I want women to feel like that, they have a place in this world no matter what they want to do. And for me, it's in the gym and,
Well, I love that. And I just have to laugh because I discovered my stress relief is kickboxing. I probably look like a spastic duck when I do it because I'm sure I'm the least graceful person on the planet, but there's something about it that just punching and kicking at whatever's bugging me and the stress goes away and I get healthier as a result. So,
yeah.
But I think what makes me so passionate about this esse is that, like I said, I was forced to exercise when I was a kid and I hated it. But it was never because we want you to be healthy. It was always, well, you need to lose weight so you'll be attractive. And I was like, so don't do that to your children is what I'm saying. But I want to put a couple comments in here. I'm going to go off on this whole thing about my rant about exercise. Carolyn loves your hair.
Thank you.
Carolyn says, I regularly kick ass at pickleball and I love playing against the guys as they go all out. Yeah, I think it's funny that guys are taught to, to go all out at whatever they're doing, and women are kind of taught that you're not supposed to be competitive and you're not supposed to really be, you're not supposed, not that you're not supposed to want to be strong, but a lot of what we're taught about exercise is that, it'll make you be a size 6.
Yeah.
Instead of it'll make you strong and it'll make you healthy and it'll make you,
I think the best thing that I did was I found realistic people to follow. So I knew that I'm never going to be a size, 3 or 4. I am blessed with hips and a booty. And I will always have hips and a booty. And so, I remember I found this woman that her name's Courtney Olson, and she has a clothing line of leggings. And I don't know, I fell in love with her, and I'm like, okay, this is who I'm going to follow. She's built like I could be built. And, that made it okay. It's like, okay, I'm not going to be this small, and that's fine. I'm just going to be a person, whatever I can be. And it's okay if I'm not a size 3. It's okay. I'm going to be what I can go. I'm going to be the strongest person I can be and be healthy, and, let others know that they can do it right along with me, if they want to. So,
well, and I think that's where the focus needs to change. Is it needs to be more, how can you be healthy? How can it help you do the things you need to do in your life better? All that kind of stuff, and not so much get the beach body so you can wear a bikini. I'm like, first of all, no, but more comments here. Carolyn is really going today. Let's see what she says. Do you think shapewear can be modified for better performance as opposed to fashion? I don't know on exercise wear for fit and colors like a black.
Oh, that's honey, I'm telling you, you need to go. I said, I've met Courtney. If you're wanting some crazy leggings, because you look at my videos, I do have a lot of black. I go through different bouts of leggings, but it's an ongoing joke because I usually wear leggings to the shop, and so people walk in and they never know what I'm going to be wearing because I was working out and then going to the gym. So Girl, which is GRRRL, they have leggings. They have leggings whether you're a size 2 or you're a size 30. They have leggings that will fit any body, and we've worked with them as a company too. And it's, it's all woman-based, woman empowerment kind of group. But
ooh, I love that.
There's so many people that's like, oh, I can't wear leggings, and I was never a legging person, but now it's like, if you don't like it, don't look at me. It is what it is. So I have unicorn ones, I have shiny ones, I have fire leggings.
Oh, good grief! I have to go check. You said GRRL?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll have to maybe send me a link once we're done with this, and I'll put it in the show notes when I put it up on the website, and then people can go look and see. And there's also, shoot, I should have written down her name. Someone that I see you talking about in your Brooke. Is that her name?
Yeah, Brooke Sousa. She is my trainer. She is a dear friend of mine. We met through Strongman, and now she's like my best friend, and she was one of the strongest women in the world, and she helped me get my shirts. We do a lot of stuff for we do printing of grip shirts, which grip shirts lets you move heavy implements, whether you're lifting stones or carrying a yoke on your back. So we print these special shirts for these events, and she helped me get that into the corporation. So she's an amazing woman also.
Now, is she a trainer or is she just a competitor?
She's both. She was a competitor.
Okay.
She's retired, and she retired this year. But yeah, she was a competitor. She was pro. She went pro 3 or 4 years ago, and she won strongest woman of the world title, I guess, a
Oh,
year and a half
wow.
ago. And she competed at the Arnold multiple times. So
Well, I just love that there's this community out there of women who are doing this really cool stuff and who are out there being strong and fierce and all these things that, you know, we were taught women couldn't be or maybe shouldn't be or whatever it was. So I just really I like the stuff that I see on your feed where you're really showing that off. And
yeah,
I really I want to talk about what you're doing with your niece because like I said, when I was her age, I was being taken on forced death marches basically to try to get me to exercise. Nobody framed it to me as you need to be healthier. It was all about you need to be skinnier.
yeah,
And I'm like you. I have a booty and hips and boobs, and I've had them since I was 10, and they're not going away. So I can drop pounds, but I'm always going to be curvy. It's just how I'm built.
yeah.
So I want to talk about what you're doing with your niece because I want to put up your Facebook again because you've had some posts there and you had one from I don't know a week or two ago where she lifted 55 pounds for the first time or whatever it was.
I think it was 155.
Oh, was it
She did.
155?
I think so.
But
Yeah,
I loved that because it focused solely on look, she's getting strong.
yeah. So with Lauren, it's been a process. When I started my journey back 4 years ago, of course she was 11,
Mm,
and we started going to the gym, and it was she wasn't into it, and so it didn't last. But I know it was the sweetest thing. The day I did my competition, she wrote me this letter that they gave me, and she said, I know that you are doing all of this journey for me, but I think in the end, it was supposed to be for you because I wouldn't have had my life change. I wouldn't be the person who I was today if it wasn't for her, you know, her diagnosis of high blood pressure, which ended up
mm,
just that fluky thing and she was fine. But, you know, she turned it on. It was for me. I needed that at that time in my life, and it was just those circumstances. And the kids are always watching. That's what you don't realize, as being
mm.
an adult, is you always have kids looking. And so I started back again, with my injuries and stuff. I kind of had fell off. I continued going to the gym and working out, but I just wasn't fully focused. And so I started getting back into it. And I asked my niece and nephew. I have a nephew that's younger, and if they wanted to go. And then Lauren's like, I'd really like to try to go back with you. So that's what this last couple of months. I'm like, I'm not going to beg you. I'm not going to push you, but if you want to come to the gym, if you want to, give it your all, we'll do it. And she has been killing it. And I can tell that she's just so excited about it because, it's never about, I've told her, I can help you with your food and we can make healthier choices. I'm like, I don't want you to think that you have to go on a diet. If you want
Right.
pizza, you can eat pizza, just eat a slice of pizza. If you want ice cream, we can make protein ice cream. So, but I told her, I'm like, let's just go in the gym, have fun, and get strong. It's okay to want to make yourself stronger for you. And
Yeah.
it's a great way to build self-confidence because, she was like, I can't do this. And I'm like, yeah, you can, and she's going to be outlifting me soon, honestly, because she's just naturally strong. And I think I'm hoping she's got kind of bit by the bug and she calls me out. She's like, are we going to the gym today? And I'm like, well, I was going to sit at home. Well, I was like, it's a Super Bowl. She's like, Super Bowl's boring. She's like, let's go to the gym. I'm like, okay. So
yeah, Brady won again, so who cares?
yeah,
Well, what I love about it is, I mean, first of all, how proud you are and what a great role model I think you're being. But the whole idea of how awesome it would be for young women to see this sort of stuff happening and not have it be about you have to be thin.
yeah,
You
it's
know?
not.
No,
No.
but I think that's the message that a lot of, even still today, a lot of young women get. And especially like you and I have both said, we have bodies that are not, I'm never going to be a size 6. It's just not going to, I could starve myself from now until, forever and work out 5 hours a day. And okay, maybe then I would be a size 6, but
Yeah.
that's way more sacrifice than I want to make.
Well, when you start lifting weights, I mean, you really learn that, and I think that's why I fell in love with the strongman community, because it's just one big family. But the bigger you are, normally, the stronger you are. Because, and even like my trainer Brooke, she would put on not unhealthy weight, but she would put on more weight to do competitions, and then she would fall back off after the competitions because you're just usually the bigger you are, the stronger you are. So that's why a lot of strong men and women they're not. I mean, they have a lightweight class, but most of the pro strong women are a size 14, 16, 22,
Mm-hmm.
and they're healthy. I mean, they're healthy and they're strong, and it's okay. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's what I've told Lauren from day one. It's like, I don't want you to worry about your weight. That will change. Your body will change if you're lifting weights and in the gym and doing the things somewhat, right. I said your body will change, and you know it's interesting for me to see. Even she laughs because she'll like, oh, do you know so and so? And I'm like, who is this? And she's like, it's a boy in my class. He said that you went to the gym with him. And I'm like, well, that's your gym too. I was like, did you tell him that? So the youth, my dogs are now barking.
Something's happening.
Yeah. But I just want people to realize that the youth is always watching. And so I'm excited. I'm hoping to see that, some of these younger guys at the gym are seeing these younger girls come in and work out, and, and that's okay, that they can be strong and powerful and kick ass and take names.
Well, I think it's just an attitude change. I mean, and I think it's an attitude change for the better, because I love the idea that there are women coming up now, or, young women like your niece, who are going to have good habits for life, but it's not going to be about, I need to fit into this size dress. It's going to be about, I need to be healthy.
Yes. We're over the skinny, you need to live your life, be confident no matter what your size.
There you go. I love it. I want that on a shirt too. Because I think, well, I do, because, as someone who has been a bigger size most of my life, a lot of what I heard was, which granted, I'm not saying it's right, but a lot of what I heard was you're less than, or you're not what you should be because you're bigger. And it's like, and curses of growing up with a mother who was like a size 6, but there you go. Anyway, but I just really like the whole idea of being a role model. And that's one of the things that you talked about, which is the thing I want to close on, because we're getting close to the end here, is that, you want to be a role model for women in general, women in the industry, and women in screen printing. That's also something that that's kind of been a more macho industry, I guess. So that's a question. Have you had any issues with guys in screen printing being kind of chauvinistic jerks?
Honestly, I guess I've been lucky, because when I took over Replica, even though that I had ran the business for 6 years, I was never really taught. I mean, my background was lithoflexo printing. So one of the very first things that we did was I reached out to pillars in the community to find out for training. So I started going to trainings, and I've met some amazing guys that kind of, they kind of took me under their wing, because I had said I wanted to know what I was doing. I wanted to, if nothing else, I wanted to know the way I was screen printing was the correct way. That way I didn't look silly being a woman trying to talk the talk. And I said, that was my goal, is to be one of the top women screen printers in the industry. And especially in my area, and that's, I want people to say, oh, well, you need to go see, we joke around, if you need a t-shirt gal, you need a t-shirt gal, I'm your gal, because in our area, there is none. And, the guys that I've dealt with have been really good to me. So I can't say that I've really had, the whole chauvinistic thing. We've dealt with some customers that always came in and thought my dad was the boss, and we're like, no. Talk to us. But I honestly, I've gotten lucky in that aspect, I guess.
That's very cool. Well, I also think that, there are movements out there that are trying to get more female screen printers a little more press, because I think young women coming into the industry maybe don't have as much experience with females that screen print. Am I accurate about that, or am I?
I think so. I know, because I guess maybe this is bad for me to say. I think what happens is we have so many stay-at-home moms that they start their business as vinyl and at-home kits doing screen printing. And so that's the majority of the women in the industry. As far as stay-at-home moms, that's where they start. And then you've got people that really are trying to grow, their business into a bigger business. And men just a lot of times I don't know.
No, I know where you're going. That I think women are more likely to start home businesses or smaller businesses, or what people would call a hobby business maybe, and guys will go buy the building and buy the equipment, and but I think there are, Allie Banholzer and Tiffany Rader Spitzer and a lot of other women that I'm sure, are out there that are running shops like you're running shops. But I think we're starting to see in the industry more recognition of that, the first annual Women in Screen Printing Awards, that kind of stuff. So I think there's some effort being made to get women out there a little more. And, well, you belong to the Women in Garment Decoration group, so you've heard me talk about we need more women role models everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think that's really one of the things that, having somebody like you on this show is like, okay, this is a female screen printer who owns her own business, who runs her own business. Here's somebody you can use as a role model if you're younger, starting out.
And I'm really surprised, because for me, women are so much more detail oriented and nitpicky. And to me, the people that I've worked with have always been great, but women are a lot more meticulous than men anyway. So I think we would make better screen printers.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I have zero artistic talent, but I think in general, women probably in some areas are better at running a business too. At least on the human resources side of things, I think. But
I leave that to my mom. She's great at that. I tell everybody, I can do graphics. I do graphics, and I can run the back part of the shop. She's all up front and dealing with problem customers. And
yeah, I get that. And I like this comment from Carolyn too, because I think it's true. Men will go into the bank and state their case, get money, and start a business. Women will figure out how to get it started on their own more often, I think.
Yep,
I don't think she's wrong about that. And I think it's also because men, if they walk into the bank and go, I want to start a business, are probably more likely to get the money than women are. I mean, it's better than it used to be, I think.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, that's a question. When you guys bought Replica and your mom just said, let's go, did you go to the bank and go, hey, we want to?
I guess I'm atypical. It was just meant to be. It was a joke because we walked into the bank and our banker's like, okay, this is what we'll do. And he's like, I don't know, I didn't have collateral, but he's like, we'll figure out what you need and we'll put it in and they'll get back with you. And while he's sitting there typing everything in, he hits enter and he starts laughing. And I'm like, what? He's like, you were approved. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, y'all been approved. It was like literally he hit enter and it came back approved.
Wow.
So now, I mean, it was just, I think the timing. It was
well, and does it have something to do with, I mean, another thing that I've noticed from looking at your social media feeds is that you're pretty connected to the local community. So yes. You guys were known. I mean, that makes, if you're known and the people at the bank know you and you have a reputation, that's a little different.
And I think what helped us also was I was the face of Replica before we bought it out because I had worked there for 6 years. Everybody, the lady that I worked for, Kate, everybody thought I was her daughter. So everybody thought I was the owner anyway. And I'm like, no. I said, we just been blessed, we've everything kind of, I mean, I don't say it's fell in our lap, but I mean, as far as the bank, when we started, it was meant to be at the time. I'm sure my mom sometimes thinks, what did I get myself into? But because once we took over, within 6 months, we had to move to like a facility that was like 4 times bigger because we had just grown so much. But I think that was because we really tried to push the business and try to get connected and like I said, I've always been about, pushing ourselves to be better printers and new technologies and stuff. So,
well, I mean, I think it's great. You guys took a risk and you worked hard at it and it worked out. I mean, that's amazing. But what I love about that story is that the instigators of the whole thing were you and your mom. So it was 2 women who basically went, let's take the leap and figure out how to make this work. And, I think for a lot of women, one of the things that holds them back the most is they're scared. They're scared to take the chance, or they're scared to say, I own the business, or they're scared to take the responsibility, or I don't know what they're scared of. But so I love your story because you guys were just like, yep, let's go. And you went.
Yeah. And it's, it's even now, it's like we're in such an uncertain time. I'm praying and hoping that, we're going to be here. I made a video the other day I was going to post and it's like, I'm sure my mom wants to retire, but I want to be in it, for another 30 years. I can see me, screen printing when I'm 90. It is what it is. But, I think just women, we've always been told, I think it's not that men were better, but it's just, the men, usually it's the men running the show. And in our little town over the past couple of years, it's been really cool because there's a lot of women businesses. We have a bar that's next to us that's owned by 3 daughters, and the florist, the lady that bought it out, is a woman. And so it's kind of like Women Central down in our little town, that all of the businesses are starting to slowly come in that are women owned. And it makes me feel good because, we need to be out in front, and it's been intimidating. We used to joke when I first took over Replica, I didn't want to talk to people. And then as my confidence grew, my mom's like, you would have never have stopped to talk to people, in the restaurant and ask them if they needed shirts or, but all people can say is no. And, you just have to, the whole stepping out of your comfort zone is hard, but I think we just we have to do it, especially being women. We just have to step out of it and say it's okay if we get shot down. You just pick up and go on.
Right. See, another thing that needs to go on a shirt. If you get shut down, just pick up and go on. I like that.
Go on.
See, there you go. We got about 4 shirt ideas out of this interview.
We're good.
Well, I hate to say it, but we're at an hour. So I think I could go on for a while longer, but then it's 2 hours and that's a little much. So I'm just going to say thank you so much. I appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
You were amazing. And I love what you're doing, and I love that you're such a role model, and I just really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. I'm going to pop you out and say goodbye. That was so fun. Loved it, loved it, loved it. All right. So next week, Meg Erber from SNS will be here. So please join me then. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate it so much. And I will see you all next